This game takes place during the exploration step of Module 3 and will be referred to and revisited as a resource and talking point in the Module 3 discussion that follows. The game is an interactive story with branching scenarios, loosely based off of the myths surrounding the foundations of the city of Athens, because the students will read that story later on in the course. Once you've navigated to the page, the learner can click Next to start. They can play directly in the LMS window, or they can choose the full screen option. Immediately, learners are presented with their first choice. There are two main characters in the story, Minerva and Neptune. Once the learner chooses the character that they want, they can click Next on each page to navigate through the story from that character's point of view. There are short checks for understanding, such as hotspots and quiz questions, and other interactive moments to bring attention to different facets of grammar or vocabulary that we want the students to focus on. This game was designed under social constructivist theory, so the students do not know the objective of the module or the reason they're being stopped at these moments in the game, but they'll recall these moments later in the guided discussion as they collaborate with their peers to identify any word patterns, oddities, or memorable moments in the story that stood out to them. There are many moments where the learners will be prompted to make a decision that impacts how the rest of their story plays out. The same characters are introduced at different times depending on these choices, and the same target vocabulary is going to be used consistently no matter what course the learner does take. With the repetition that takes place through multiple plays and with the illustration, the story becomes highly comprehensible, and the students start out this module with a sense of accomplishment. There are 7 different endings to this game. A storyline that ends with all of the characters alive is considered a win, and the students can move on to the discussion. A storyline that ends in death is considered a loss, and students should go back to the beginning and start over, either choosing the same character and making a different choice, or choosing the character that they didn't choose at the beginning for a new perspective. There are more possibilities for losing and a character dying than there are for the characters to all survive and for them to win the game, to increase the amount of plays and the exposure to the language. The overall objective of this module is to have students compare sentence structure of Latin and English, and this game allows a low-stakes exploration and introduction to the concept of Latin case endings, as the students are exposed to the same words over and over with slightly different endings depending on the role in the sentence. They will discuss this concept in much more depth later on in the module and the rest of the course, and this game will be used frequently as a reference point as they move along in the course. Once the student reaches an ending that does not have any character deaths, they can exit the game and click Next to move on to the discussion.